If you're here to buy or sell, you might want to talk to Octai. I'm busy. And by sensitive, I'm guessing you mean something you don't want UC Security sticking their noses into. I can probably help you with that. What have you got for me? Aurora, huh? Nice. A little too hot to handle, though. What else you got?
Well, hang on there. We haven't even started to negotiate yet.
All I'm going to point at is the ceiling, with my middle finger. Get that stuff out of here before UC Security catches on. Of course, if there's a finder's fee you're offering, I might, well, bend the rules a little bit. You know, it's funny. Suddenly, I do remember someone who might be able to unload that stuff for you.
Glad we could put things into perspective.
There's a buddy of mine who runs with the Crimson Fleet. Goes by the name Adler Kemp. If he isn't passed out, you can find him killing the rest of his brain cells at the Broken Spear. Oh, and it's been a pleasure doing business with you.
Unless you're here to serve me another drink, you can turn around and walk away. Hey, why don't you say that a little louder? I don't think every single UC guard in Sidonia heard you. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I think we can help you with this. If you've got a whole shipment of this stuff, you're going to need to move it fast. But you're going to have to do something for us first. You're a clever one, aren't you? Let's just say I have a certain influential affiliation. And leave it at that. Basically, you want that Aurora moved, I'm your guy. Yeah, well, she isn't running the show here. I am.
That wasn't part of our deal. But I bet you're about to say it's a non-negotiable addendum.
As a matter of fact, yes. Yes, I am. Non-negotiable addendum. I like that. Now listen up, because I'm not going to repeat myself. I need you to deal with a miner who's racked up a bunch of debt. He probably spent it all on booze, not that I blame him. Either way, I want that money back. What do I need to do here? Write you an instruction manual? You can do this loud, you can do this quiet. I don't care. I just want my goddamn money, and I want this guy to remember who he screwed over. Perfect. His name's Carl Fielding. I think you'll find him wandering around the Deimos miners' quarters. Don't worry, you can't miss him. Just look for the most miserable-looking guy in the entire place.
Something I can help you with? Adler Kemp. Who the heck is that? Adler, you said? Nope. I think you have me mixed up with someone else. Look, I'm tired. It's been a long day in the mines. I just want to go home, wash off the dust, and relax. This has been fun, though. Whatever. Adler... Oh! Wait! You mean that Adler? Yeah, sorry. I thought you were talking about someone else. I told him I'd pay up next week when Deimos cuts our next profit share check. I'll even bring it to him personally. Sound good? Yeah? Well, I mean, he doesn't really have a choice. Look, I haven't got a single credit to spare right now. Okay? You can't squeeze blood from a stone. You know? Right?
Technically, there are several natural geologic phenomena that can stimulate the blood effect.
Oh, what games? Why are you doing this to me? I don't have the money. Sure, I guess I could ask for a 7-day shift. I don't know. I suppose. It's just that, well, I didn't have much of a choice. Please, tell Adler I'm sorry for trying to wiggle out of the debt. I didn't have much of a choice.
Have something for me? Well, would you look at that? I knew that bum was holding out on me. He going to be a problem anymore? Or did he get the message? Nice. Nice. You're kind of a natural at this. Leaning on deadbeats comes easy to you. I like that. You know, if you like this kind of work, I can get you more. A lot more. You think you can handle running with my, associates? If you haven't figured that out by now, then maybe you aren't cut out for our line of work. That's what I'm talking about. I like your style. All right. I'll call ahead and get a hold of Nevamora. She's second to the big boss himself. Head out to Europa. You'll find her there. I suggest you listen to whatever she has to say. Oh, and I've taken care of that Aurora shipment for you too. Don't spend all that cash in one place.
I've been thinking a lot about my early days in Constellation lately. Got me pretty nostalgic, and I started digging in some old things. Just sort of reminiscing. I found some of Irvin's last messages to me and thought I'd listen to them again to hear his voice. Guess I didn't think of it that way, but yes, it was sad. It was also comforting, though. So most of the messages were everyday things. Lots of excitedly written news about biodiversity and plant life. But one thing stood out. In one of his messages, he mentioned this job that he took at a mine shortly before he died. He said something terrible was happening there. But the message was garbled after that. True, but this was different. I recognized this pattern from the war. A portion of the message was encrypted. Well, Vasco helped me decipher it. Turns out the message was from Irvin, and he was begging me to help him. The message was short, but his voice was pained. He was so upset. No, he was frustrated and angry. He said they were going to destroy his name. He said they were going to destroy his life if he didn't leave the planet now. Then he asked me to help clear his name. Said they had a case against him. Oh, he sounded so upset. Yes. Hearing his voice in so much pain was very difficult. Oh, I wish I had noticed this message when he sent it. So in this message, Irvin said he was being framed. He said they'll do it again. He asked if Constellation could send more help. His former employers had some job he took before he died. I think it was a mining company. Not exactly sure, but he mentioned a court case. So I think there's a paper trail. No, I just thought it was garbled. I just wasn't paying attention. I don't know. It is, but I was thinking about it and, well, it's still wrong, right? So I figured, hey, I can do some sort of a remote investigation here, see what I can find out. There's gotta be a paper trail, right? Now, I happen to have a trustworthy contact who knows a bit about law and owes me a favor. I'd need to pay in advance in case there are any access fees or bribes. That works. I'll tell them to go ahead with the investigation. You know, hearing Irvin's voice again made me want to help him, even though I know I can't. Does that make any sense? No, I know I can't. I just don't want whoever hurt him to get away with it, if that's what happened. I appreciate that. It's going to be hard to get some sleep tonight after all this. But the fact that I'm doing something about it might be enough to help. Hopefully poking around in old records doesn't catch the attention of Hephaestus. Well, anyway, I'll let you know if my contact finds anything.
So, big shot. I hear Adler thinks you're good enough to join our crew. We'll see. When the waters get deep, it's sink or swim. So, before I put you to work, let's get everything out in the open. I don't know if Adler mentioned it, and for his sake, I hope he hasn't. But you aren't about to sign up with any average pirate crew. You're signing up with the Crimson Fleet. That's if you get through this little task I have planned for you. There's a medical supply ship called the Ragana, jumping into Enceladus's orbit. On board that ship, you'll find a traitor named Austin Rake. I want him dead. This job isn't about the loot, but I suppose every dog needs its scraps. Keep whatever worthless junk is on that ship. Just remember, the only thing that matters is that Rake dies. There's a lesson in this. I need you to learn what'll happen if you decide to turn your back on the fleet. Consider it your glimpse into a possible, unfortunate future. So you'd better pay close attention. Kill Rake? That's your only option? If you want my advice, there's only one way to guarantee he dies. Turn the Ragana into space junk. Only way to be sure. It's done when Rake stops breathing. Head back here when you're finished. And don't keep me waiting for long.
This is Dmitry Moldavsky, pilot of the Ragana. We are a simple transport ship heading to New Homestead. We do not want any trouble. I was afraid of that. Look, we are not built for combat. What is it you want exactly? Well, normally I would say no, but frankly it will be safer for us that way. Alright, you can dock. We will talk then.
I am not sure what to make of you being here. If you wanted to kill us, you could have done that from your ship. If you wanted our cargo, we could have jettisoned it. I guess I should just stop talking and let you say your piece. That is true. Which means you don't want somebody to know what you are really up to. Now, do you mind telling us what this is all about? You really do not know which one of us is Rake, do you? And you do not seem to care either, which makes me think you really want to save him. Okay, I have idea. We can strike his name from Manifest, make it so he was never on board. Then, when we dock, we will leave him on this ship and deliver him to another port. That is fair. We do not want any part of the fleet. Is that all right with you, Austin?
Do I have a choice?
It does not appear you do. Well then, it is agreed. You go back to your ship and we will make sure Rake was never on ours. And in case any of your handlers get suspicious, here. We had an extra crate of supplies loaded, in case one got damaged. This should be proof you were not here to bargain.
Thanks for the help with the Ecliptic. I had it under control, but it definitely went faster after you jumped into the fight. Now tell me about the Ragana. Give me some good news, then we can go celebrate. Huh. No kidding. That'll make Delgado happy, seeing as our hands are clean. I would have preferred if you hadn't left witnesses behind, but at least you got the job done. Anyway, you wanted into the Crimson Fleet? Well, you're in. Yep, it's that simple. Hope this business with Rake's taught you something. Because I'm about to stick my neck out and vouch for you. If you screw up, and I wind up looking like an asshole, I'm gonna send someone after you. We clear? Be careful what you wish for. You screw up bad enough, and I just might. And now that you know the deal, it's time to see what you signed up for. I'm gonna upload the coordinates for our headquarters in the Crick system. Spacers call it the key, the fleet calls it home. Head out there as soon as you can. Don't keep me waiting long.
We got the message from the Ragana about Austin Rick. We had him dropped off at a separate port, off the books. Suffice to say, he's got a lot to answer for. That's a smart line to follow. Part of this role you're playing means having to make hard choices. Just remember not to lose yourself in the part.
We wouldn't be the good guys if we did.
Oh, one more thing before we move on. For transparency's sake, you should know we were the ones that hired Ecliptic to attack Neva's ship. There was concern after what happened with the Ragana that you might have trouble earning Neva's trust. Coming to her rescue ensured that would not be a problem. They are mercenaries for hire. If they are paid enough money, Ecliptic would attack the Vigilance. It wasn't terribly difficult to convince them to attack an isolated Crimson Fleet ship. Just expensive. Ah, so I take it you have good news. Were you able to join the fleet? Then it worked. You're in. Sounds like everything is going as expected. Now it's time for the next phase of the mission.
Our intel on Saoirse was correct. After we received reports on your interaction with Adler Kemp, we picked up on your rendezvous with Neva Mora.
Our files indicate she's second in command, so getting on her good side will ensure you get into the Crimson Fleet. The woman has a record that could stretch across Sol and back. She started young as one of Neon's street rats, and worked her way up to second in command. She's a force to be reckoned with, so don't underestimate her. Yes, you passed your first test and you're still alive. But before we get too confident, that either means she suspects nothing, or she intends to make an example of you later. Just remember, these are ruthless criminals, so don't let your guard down.
And their ruthlessness is only surpassed by their cunning. You should proceed with caution, regardless of how well you think you've ingratiated yourself.
So what's next for you on Neva's agenda? Excellent. If you're heading to the Key, I assume you'll be meeting Delgado soon.
Delgado is the leader of the Crimson Fleet. I have a profile here with some information on his background. You'll want to know the individual cadences of every member of the fleet, but Delgado's most of all.
I wonder if the files mention any of his poker tales. Pirates and gamblers are basically part of the same genus.
You will be thankful you did the homework when it comes time for the test. In any case, now that you're with the fleet, you'll be operating independently. We will shadow you eventually, but we'll need to maintain our distance for now, especially while you're on the key. This will also give us time to bolster our defenses, should we need to engage with the fleet in the future.
Sir, on that note, shall we begin implementing the upgrade to our shields?
Immediately, Lieutenant. Notify the engineers and relay the information to the crew. I hope your entry into the fleet has overcome any doubts you may have had regarding your mission. It certainly increased my estimates on success. Keep up the good work. We'll expect further reports. Dismissed.
Oh, hello. I don't think we've met. Are you by chance new here?
I mean, there is some truth to it.
Are Babri, you're that dangerous Terramorph Slayer everyone's been talking about. Well, don't worry. I'm not scared of you. My godmother was a member of the Strikers gang, and you're not even half as scary as her. My name is Javanta. I'm an ensign with the maintenance and robotics team. And just between you and me, I don't think you're dangerous. Do you? That doesn't mean you're dangerous. Look at the Model A's on this ship, for example. They can handle themselves too. Anyway, it was very nice to meet you. If you want to talk some more, I will be here. It's a good question. It was what you'd call a minor moral crisis. I wasn't happy with my old job at Drone. I felt like my life was on an assembly line. Everything was about profit, and nothing had any real meaning. But then it occurred to me, if I'm so miserable, I could just leave. So one day I just did. Sistef is far from perfect, but our goal is noble. I can sleep soundly knowing my work will be for a cause that is just. Oh, I'm part of the maintenance team that makes sure the Vigilance is operating smoothly. On the robotic side, I take care of the Model A's on the ship and make sure they're treated with respect and dignity. They are people, after all, just like us. Not here. With that Drone, clients would come in and bring their robots for maintenance. And the condition these robots were in was appalling. Not to mention the way they were talked down to. Personally, I think the way you treat your robots says a lot about you. See? I knew there was something I liked about you. Machines are very dear to me. Think of it this way. How can we expect a robot to fight by our side if we won't fight for their right to exist? So I always do my best to treat them as my equals. Oh, I have so many questions. There is not enough time to ask them all. But I won't ask about your Vanguard duties, as I'm sure you're tired of people asking. Instead, I will ask you a very simple question. Are you a morning, afternoon, or night person? Oof, then we can't be friends. No, I'm kidding. Of course. But I prefer the early hours myself. Do I? I guess that's a compliment. Everything is just better in the morning. The food, the air, the coffee. But the thing I like best is the quiet. When I can look out into space and see the whole galaxy is asleep. When it's that quiet, the only noise you hear is from the Vigilance itself. In fact, we keep each other company when the world is too busy snoring in their beds. It makes it so the mornings are just for us. Oh, yes! And we have a new prisoner in the brig. It's really sad the fleet couldn't just leave him be. And having left a toxic situation to come here, I can relate to wanting to escape. Although, no one's tried to have me killed, so...
I don't know about you. No, I don't. But you're Vanguard, right? Not exactly one of us. Volunteer forces don't get the strictest background check. Who knows what kind of mischief you get up to in your spare time. But if Commander Ikande says you're Sistef, then you are one of us. For now.
Long story. I got my start in the Academy and made a name for myself hunting the Crimson Fleet. I eventually got recruited to do test flights on a star station orbiting Lloyden's Rock. Me and 3 other Archangel pilots did some work on some extremely dangerous prototypes. But I called in a few favors and got back home with Sistef. Someone with my talents needs to be here, where the action is. You guessed it. In fact, I'd say you've got what linguistic experts call FOGO, a firm grasp of the obvious. But I'm not just any pilot. I'm the best, and I've got the kills to prove it. On that, we agree. I guess we'll have to test that theory out someday, hotshot. I cut my teeth on space trucks, believe it or not. Before I got my stripes, I was just another cargo hauler trying to earn an honest wage. But after a couple slick escapes, I got recruited to the Academy and went from dodging pirates to hunting them. Thing is, some of my best tricks were with a big rig. Ever try a pitchback with a Hope Tech truck with 2 fleet wraiths on your tail? Compared to that, doing it with a military fighter is a piece of cake.
Things are progressing rather quickly. I'm sure the commander is pleased. The system was originally called Alpha Ophiuchi, until a flag was planted there by Jasper Crix, the founder of the Crimson Fleet. Since it was crucial that space travelers avoided that system, navigators marked it as Crix on star maps as a warning. They could have just as easily labeled it Crimson Fleet, so I'm guessing the pirates themselves were responsible for spreading their leader's name. Over the years, people forgot the system's original designation and started calling it the Crix system. It's been that way ever since. Sure, we have a database of profiles you can read, which should help you ingratiate yourself with the group. However, the profiles are a guide, not gospel. Use what you can, fill in the blanks, and play off that. I imagine when you're done, you'll be able to generate far more accurate profiles than what we have in our system. That's right. It's something we've requested a while ago, in preparation for a future conflict with the fleet. Once we finalize everything and run a few tests, we'll have the defenses needed for a jump to the Crix system when the time comes. 2 reasons. First, Commander Akande's playing this operation extremely close to the vest. That means keeping prisoners under his own roof until this is resolved. Second, this is an undercover mission. For our safety and yours, we need to keep these prisoners out of the spotlight.
Be careful. Don't underestimate the Crimson Fleet. Our directive is simple. We are tasked with the eradication of space piracy in the settled systems. As the chief source of pirate activity, the Crimson Fleet is our primary target. I've asked my superiors the same thing, but the Council is resistant to the notion that the Crimson Fleet is a serious threat. They perceive the pirates as simple opportunists and thieves, willing to betray each other the moment a better offer arrives. In actuality, I believe the fleet is a massive threat, one that's growing more and more organized as the years pass. They're a menace to civilized society. They attack supply ships, terrorize systems, and kill innocents, all under a banner of greed. But it's not just that. I strongly believe that the UC has a duty to destroy the Crimson Fleet. After all, it was our fault that the Crimson Fleet was unleashed upon the settled systems in the first place. I'm not at liberty to explain the origin of the Crimson Fleet right now, but suffice to say, it's a massive embarrassment to the UC. All I can tell you is that the key and the planet that it's orbiting once belonged to the United Colonies, and they were lost to those pirates. The Crimson Fleet is a product of our negligence, and I aim to rectify that mistake. Extremely critical. It's unfortunate the Regana caught itself in the crossfire of Neva Mora's personal vendetta. Fortunately, your actions allowed the Regana to reach New Homestead with its cargo intact. Thank you. I wasn't sure what you were planning to do with them, or if you still needed them for your cover. We'll make sure they get transported to their original destination.
Welcome to the brig. As a member of SysDef, you may talk with the prisoners as long as you are mindful of operation security. As a personal rule, I simply ask that you adhere to UC Navy standards of cleanliness at all times. That means no mud on your boots, your hands are washed, and you are free of any contagious diseases. Besides the fact that it's healthier, a sanitary brig is important for station security. In my experience, a prisoner will hide a shiv under a flake of dust if you let them. The cleaner a space is, the easier it is to spot irregularities, both inside the cell and out. Normally, I'd say trying isn't good enough, but you're Commander Ikande's mole, aren't you? In that case, I'm not going to ask you to blow your cover just for me. I understand being a slob is part of the job, but try not to abuse the privilege. We have multiple turrets attached to the ceiling. If you've met Ensign Betty, she's personally calibrated them to ensure they cover the entire area. That being said, firing the turrets should be considered a last resort. He's a good man, singularly focused when it comes to the fleet. But that's not to say he doesn't care about his crew. I can tell you a story as an example if you'd like to hear it. So, I'm a bit of a workaholic, and I forget to take breaks. One day, Commander Ikande passes by the brig and sees me at my desk. He takes one look at my haggard face and says, "Officer, I'm headed to the mess hall. If you're not with me in 15 minutes, your services will no longer be required on my ship." I tried to protest, but he was dead serious. So I went. We had lunch, talked about old times, and I went back to the brig, refreshed and ready to work. It's little things like that. You can see he pays attention, and that he cares about the people, not just the work. The cells you see here are for captured pirates and prisoners of war. If you apprehend any pirates during the course of your missions, they'll be detained here. That's a loaded question. We err on the side of caution here, short of any physical abuse. But with the Crimson Fleet, you have to be very careful. If you give them an inch, they'll take a parsec and find a way to stab you with it. Verbally, yes. There's a lot of bad blood with the fleet, stretching across generations, myself included. Sometimes that blood spills over. As long as there's no actual fighting, I tend to let both sides dish it out. That's the idea. We will always err on the side of security, given the choice. But I'll be the first to admit it's not an exact science, and we've made mistakes in the past with both the carrot and the stick. As chief officer of this brig, my worst fear is that we'll someday repeat them. As a matter of fact, I have a favor to ask. I understand that part of your undercover work involves going to the fleet headquarters, namely, the key. While you're there, if you find anything pertaining to the history of the fleet, I'd be interested in learning about it. I apologize, but no one from our side has been to the key in ages. The history buff in me wants to learn more. I appreciate it. I've actually heard rumors about there being audio logs for an interview the founder of the fleet, Jasper Crix, did on the key. I'm interested in anything he had to say regarding his time in prison and how the prisoners were treated. If you find anything like that, bring it back here, and we'll take a listen. The fleet and the UC are intertwined, and I've always felt knowing that past as an important part of what we do. In life, history can be a guide, a warning, or at times, a reflection. And if you want to know which one it is, you have to stare it in the face, regardless of how ugly it is. No, the prisoner surrendered willingly, as per the terms of your deal. This is probably the safest place for him, if the fleet want him dead. You can chat with him, if you haven't already. I'm sure he has a lot to say.
I guess you think I have some sad story to tell? That I met some sick orphans on New Homestead and grew a conscience? Or maybe you're the cynical type, and you think I turned a new leaf because I wanted SysDef to go easy on me. The truth is a bit more complicated than that. Sure, I got time. You see, at my age, you know who you are. And I've always been a thief. I'd swipe a cred stick for my own mother if it had enough zeros on it. But even in a group of cred-hungry thieves, a man has to have a code. Rules. Careful. You say that around these SysDef cops, and they might take away your hall pass. But I wasn't talking about those kind of rules. I mean, honor among thieves. The fleet has none. The job isn't even the stressful part. It's after a big heist when you gotta worry. In the fleet, you gotta worry about the guy sleeping next to you, and if he's gonna take a bigger piece of the pie. You gotta wake up the next morning and wonder why your slice is missing and the crumbs are stuck to his face. Well, for one, they don't have much in the way of loot, but they're still important to somebody. You can't just blow up one without it showing up on SSNN, or a UC captain getting a 10-inch stack of slates on his desk. But more importantly, do-gooders are predictable. The pirate code changes depending on who's reciting it. Honest folks, they have a habit of writing their rules down. Why did I join the Regana? Truth is, I just wanted a good night's sleep. And put a bigger target on my back? As far as I'm concerned, the brig is the safest place I can be. The second you drag me into some private room, you're basically telling everyone here that I'm a rat.
You wanted 4K, you got 4K. Not my problem.
If you're stealing from me, you bet your ass it's your problem.
You kidding me? Way to make a mess in front of my new rook.
Hey, steal from me and get caught? Better off dead.
Sounds like you did the fleet a favor. Now toss this body out of an airlock before it turns into a damn air freshener. The hell took you so long? Forget how to grav jump or something? Please. It'd be one less sloppy rook whose mess I had to clean up. The last thing I need is another Austin rake getting cold feet. You want to leave the fleet? You pay the price. Not in credits, but in blood. I don't care. Time is money and you've wasted both. That ends today. Clear? But, all that aside, you made it. So now, you get to hear a nifty history lesson. Pencils ready? Good. This floating scrap heap you're standing on is called the Key. Used to be an old UC military star station, and now it's the fleet's base of operations. Might look a little beat up on the outside, but we keep it together. Sure did. Right out from under their noses. Way before you or I were born, though. We've held this station for a very long time. Don't worry. Delgado will tell you all about it. Hell yeah, it is. Just watch your back when you do. Cred sticks tend to disappear around here, if you catch my meaning.
Don't worry, I keep all my cred sticks in a secret... well, somewhere safe. Leave it at that.
Anyway, I'll tell you all about the Key. But it's better if I show you too. Follow me. All right. History time. So,
The key is in orbit around Suvorov. That's the very same ice ball where the United Colonies built a supermax prison they call the Lock. The UC is so clever. Supermax prison, lock, key. Cute, huh? Now, we've got everything the fleet needs right here. Of course, you've got to pay for it. Remember, on the key, credits are king. What the hell is this?
All right, hang on, Nev. Before you get pissed, I've got my hands full.
Jasmine, sweetie, I'm trying to give a tour here. So you want to tell me why those damn doors are sealed?
It's called a malfunction. You know, that thing I spend most of my day dealing with. Believe me, my people are on it. Have a little faith for once.
Aw. In you, always, Angel. This here's Jasmine. You need anything for your ship, she's got you covered. We'll hit up the depot next since these doors have given out on us. So anyway, we were talking about the Lock. About 100 years ago, the prisoners down there rioted and took over the place. After stealing some ships, they were actually able to make it up here and took over the key.
About time you brought us new blood, Neva. I was getting tired of trading with the same old faces.
You're just ticked everyone's getting wise to your ridiculous prices, Aludra. Anyway, welcome to the depot, Rook, where you'll be lucky if these blood-sucking leeches don't bleed you completely dry.
Whoa. It's not our fault that people don't appreciate how much it costs to get untraceable merchandise onto the key.
Neva's just whining because she thinks she lost a ton of cash selling us a shipment of gear. She should have done her homework.
Yeah, sure, laugh it up. I'll remember that next time I need something from you cheapskates. Let's move on. Back to my story. After the liberated prisoners grabbed the key, they established it as a base of operations and began pirating the spaceways. That was how the Crimson Fleet began. Of course, Jasper Cricks had a lot to do with all that, but we'll get to him later. Rook, meet Zuri, Queen of the Rare Exports.
If I don't have it, you don't need it.
Neuroamps, blueprints. Hit her up and she'll take care of you.
Speaking of which, you still owe me for that last purchase, Neva. It's like 5 figures. Don't make me collect it the hard way.
The hard way? Oh no. Rook, protect me from Zuri's vengeance. Enough of the bullshit, Zuri. I'll pay you when I pay you. Deal with it. Got a problem with that? Take it up with the boss. On the right, you've got Bradley from the Trade Authority. I'm sure you know the deal there. He'll buy pretty much anything, no matter how hot. Then we got our med bay on the left, run by the one and only Samina Mizra. She'll patch you up, if you've got the money. We don't run any free clinics up in here, you don't? Okay, this is our final stop. Over there, you've got the Last Nova, where Bog serves watered-down drinks at ridiculously exorbitant prices. And right here is the most important place on the entire station, the Reckoner's Core, run by the incomparable Shinya Voss.
Another new Rook, Neva? I can't believe Delgado still lets you recruit, given what happened with the last one.
You mean Austin Rake? It's been taken care of, all right? I don't like loose ends, and this Rook is the one who tied it off.
Perhaps next time you'll try to be a bit more discerning regarding your choices. It's far more cost-effective.
Yeah, love you too, darling. Anyway, Shinya handles our lifeblood. The money. We call him our Reckoner, but if you ask me, he's actually a pain in the ass.
And Neva will slit your throat if she thinks you'll bleed creds.
Go to hell, boss. Take care of our new friend here, or I'll find a way to pull the pin on that little party popper in your chest. Anyway, Shinya will get you set up in our system. I've got real work to do. Once you're done, head upstairs and I'll introduce you to the boss.
Time for a proper introduction. I am Shinya Voss, the official reckoner for the Crimson Fleet. And since Neva so thoughtfully mentioned it, Yes, this is a bomb embedded in my chest. And no, I'll never know the meaning of the word humble. In fact, I find Delgado's idea of a security measure to be quite empowering. I see the bomb as a symbol of my importance, and it's a constant reminder to everyone of the sacrifice I was willing to make. The freedom I've given up, the pain, it's not something that just anyone has the resolve to bear.
Everyone has their way of ingratiating themselves. Personally, I'd prefer to gift a bottle of wine and a slice of Pule cheese. But to each their own.
Glad you approve. Obviously, betrayal isn't taken lightly around here. Since I oversee the bulk of transactions and maintain all accounts for the fleet, I'm a prime target for information. Should our enemies capture me or I grew any semblance of a moral conscience, you might consider me the greatest threat we have. For Delgado, the bomb grants peace of mind and a certain degree of safety. Essentially, but I sleep soundly knowing I'm one of the few that can piss Delgado off and live. Should I die, all of my knowledge, the accounts, the credits, it would be a mess. He wouldn't dare. He holds the trigger, but we all know that my death cripples the fleet. Call the bomb a weapon of last resort. It's been over 5 years since I've stepped off the key. Leaving this place puts far too much at risk. Now, let me get you set up. A moment while I convene with the core. Thanks to advanced modifications even Ryujin would envy, I can interface directly with our mainframe and the Galbank network. This allows me to move and clean credits faster and more efficiently than any run-of-the-mill cyber runner. There, you're done. All you need now is Delgado's blessing, and you'll be one of us. None. Other than my chest and arm modifications, I am but a simple man. Is the interview over now? Can we get back to work? The perfect segue into my final subject. Thanks to our relations with contacts across the galaxy, we always have a steady stream of jobs available. I've granted you all the necessary permissions to access these listings at any time, using the computers that surround the core. Oh, you know, smuggling, piracy, taking things that aren't yours. Nothing that should keep you up at night. Well, depending on your methods. If Neva's chosen wisely, we certainly will. Now, I believe that covers all I have to say, so you can run along to Delgado. Take the elevator to the upper level. You should be able to find your way from there, I hope.
All right, listen up. You can all stop